Great. I'm going to call us to order. It's 6:15. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Great. We have 3 of our student board reps with us this evening. Thanks, students, for being here. And 4 of our board members. Jack is unable to be here this evening. We need to adopt the meeting agenda. Is there a motion to approve the meeting agenda for this evening?
So moved.
Thank you, Meredith. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Diana. All those in favor?
Aye.
Great. And we have a wonderful presentation this evening, a Youth of the Year for Colton Hong. So feel free to come on up to the podium. Dr. Irish, do you want to say anything before?
I don't see Colton in the room.
Okay.
Is Michael here? No, I don't see Colton in the room. Okay.
We will amend the agenda then.
Okay.
And hopefully we will be able to have that presentation another evening, for another board meeting. So we have some public comment. Just before I call each person up for public comment, a reminder that you have 3 minutes for public comment. Nikki will set the clock, and so please watch the clock, and as the time runs down, if 3 minutes is up, we will ask you to end your public comment. And the board doesn't respond in the board meeting to public comment, but we do follow up, either us or Dr. Irish follow up later afterwards with you all if that's needed or necessary. And so we are going to start with Grayson Ross.
Good evening, member. Is this on?
There you go.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good evening, members of the school board. My name is Grayson Ross, and I'm an 8th grade student at AMS. Today, I stand before you to share my passion for preserving a tradition that has been a significant part of our school's history for over 35 years. That tradition is the traditional 8th grade moving up ceremony. Since 6th grade, my classmates and I have eagerly anticipated this event as a symbol of our growth, achievements, and transition to the next chapter of our academic journey. It's a moment that holds great value for us, making our hard work and dedication throughout our time at this school. However, I was upset to learn that our administration had decided to discontinue this tradition, citing a lack of interest from students. I'd like to make it very clear that this decision does not reflect the student body. We value this ceremony and believe it plays a crucial role in fostering a sense of community, pride, and unity among us. I also noticed that when the student calendar came out in June of 2024, it included June 10th, AMS Moving Up Ceremony. And when I went over the calendar in my leadership class earlier this month, I saw it was changed to AMS End of Year Celebration. I was shocked. What happened to honoring us in a traditional ceremony? During my leadership class, when I asked why the ceremony at the high school wasn't happening, we were met with the answer of, it's just not an option. Why is it not an option? I understand that decisions must be based on various factors, but I urge the school board to consider the significance of this tradition to us students. It's not just an event, but it's a symbol of our experiences, friendships, and growth throughout our time at the middle school. By keeping this tradition, we honor the legacy of those who came before us and ensure that future generations can have the celebration of us transitioning to the last 4 years of basic education. I may not have the power to convince the middle school to continue this tradition, but with your help, I know I can. So tonight, I implore you to think about it, to think about the 200 plus 8th graders who may go without a ceremony. So let's work together to preserve this important ceremony of us moving on, going into a new chapter of our lives. I hope that tonight I have made an impact that will make you think upon keeping this tradition. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Grayson. Our next public speaker is Claire McCombs.
Hi, I'm Claire McCombs. I am part of the 8th grade class at Anacortes Middle School, and I will be talking about our 8th grade moving up ceremony. Our 8th grade class has been looking forward to our ceremony and dance at the high school since 6th grade. Girls have bought dresses, parents are excited, and everybody is expecting this. After sitting in multiple end-of-year planning committee meetings, it has come to my attention that it could possibly change or not even happen. This would be very upsetting to all of us. There was an article posted in the Anacortes Pride publication in July of 2024 that stated that the changes to the Moving Up celebrations were rooted in student analysis. There was obviously miscommunication because July of 2024 was long before our 8th grade class was part of any conversations about a change in our Moving Up ceremony. During an end-of-year planning committee meeting on March 3rd, admin told us 8th graders the ceremony taking place at the high school wouldn't be important to many people and that it wouldn't be an option. To take action, a few of my peers and I created a petition which stated we would like to continue the tradition of having an end-of-year moving up ceremony, recognizing our accomplishments over the past 3 years. This has been conducted at the high school, and we would like this tradition to continue. This petition was signed by 114 8th graders, which is over 50% of the 8th grade class. If that doesn't show that a ceremony and dance at the high school is important to us, then I don't know how else to prove it is. Our 8th grade peers are willing to take action to make this an option. If it's budget, we can raise money. If it's paying for admin time, we can find volunteers. Thank you very much for helping us get to yes.
Thank you, Claire. Our next public speaker is Macy Jones.
Hi, I'm Macy Jones, and I'm part of this year's 8th grade class. I stand here today because the question was asked, why have a ceremony at the Anacortes High School? And there is a multitude of factors as to why we should, but really it comes down to tradition. We have held the 8th grade moving up ceremony at the high school for over 35 years. This tradition is a vital part in celebrating the transition from middle school to high school. This tradition is not just a ceremony, it is a reflection of our shared values, unity, and commitment to education. It is a reminder of those who have supported us and have given us guidance and along the way, who have helped us reach this milestone. I believe that transparency and respect for tradition are essential in honoring our achievements. However, I was disappointed to learn that the committee was misled into believing that we were brainstorming additional ways to celebrate our class, all while assuming that we would still be holding the traditional ceremony at the high school. I have been part of this committee since it was created on May 6th of 2024. This miscommunication not only caused confusion, but also overshadowed the value of long-standing tradition that has brought our community together for over 3 decades. The Anacortes High School is a good venue. There is lots of seating for all of your friends and family to come and watch. It is convenient because the Anacortes High School graduation is the day before and the equipment is already set up. We are being asked to choose to have no ceremony or have it in the AMS gym. The AMS gym is not an ideal venue due to lack of space. As an example, students at assemblies are always squished, and oftentimes classes sit on the ground while having their teachers stand and at least 30 students up front running the assembly. And parents who have shown interest in coming are often told there isn't enough space for them to attend. If there is not enough space for the AMS students in the AMS gym, imagine the whole 8th grade class of 205 plus their families and friends. I stand here today because I want to keep a special and important tradition alive, a tradition our AMS 8th grade class has had no interest in changing. We want a ceremony at the high school to celebrate us being handed off to the last 4 chapters of our school career and to look back on all of the years before that have led us to where we are now, so that we can all look forward to what we will get in the next 4 years if we work hard enough to strive to accomplish the ultimate goal of high school graduation. Please help us keep the ceremony we deserve and value the long-lasting tradition. Thank you.
Thank you, Macy. The next speaker is Quinn Anderson.
Hello, my name is Quinn Anderson, and I am an 8th grade student at Anacortes Middle School. I'm here today speaking to you about the 8th grade moving up ceremony and my personal beliefs about it. When I was in 6th grade, I experienced a lot of bullying that I wouldn't hope for anyone. It consisted of mostly online social media accounts, posts, Snapchats, text messages, rumors, and notes. I wouldn't, wish that on anyone. My 6th grade year wasn't ideal. There were days when I begged not to go to school out of fear and humiliation. We are constantly told that we can trust and confide in the adults at my school, but when I came out and spoke up about what was happening to me, they didn't do much about it, which resulted in my mental health declining further. There were mornings when I didn't want to go to school because I couldn't find a reason to get out of bed, but I had one thing always in the back of my mind that gave me a purpose to keep going and do my missing assignments, my moving up ceremony. This was a day that gave me a reason to keep getting out of bed, and I'm grateful for that. However, taking that away from us feels like another way for the school to invalidate the hard work students may go through to get where we are right now. This is a day that I and many others on that list feel shouldn't be debated about. Everyone has their reasonings for wanting this ceremony, big and small, but one thing remains the same. Anacortes 8th graders want this day to be seen and heard for our hard work, our challenges, and our mistakes. We don't want a disingenuous assembly full of kids who have a history with each other. We just want to be seen. This ceremony gave me a goal, along with many others, to try my best in their 8th grade year. I want this because I will be meeting an accomplishment for not only my overall life, but also my journey with mental health. I want nothing more than to overcome this with those I love surrounding me, and if this is held during a midday, most parents who have 9 to 5s or work in the district would not be able to come. My dad is a college professor, my mom works at an elementary school, my sister works grueling shifts at the hospital, and my second sister lives in California. Many families would struggle to attend an assembly at the middle school during working hours. I'm a 4th generation in this town and a 2nd generation for this tradition. My uncle did this, my mom did this, and both of my sisters did this. I would love to do it too. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Quinn. Thank you. Our next public speaker is Leonard Hickson.
Sorry, I have no comment. I thought there'd be a circumstance which I needed to speak, and I don't. So we figured it out. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. All right, that's the end of our public comments for this evening. Thank you all for being here and for sharing your thoughts with us. I'm going to move into superintendent and assistant superintendent comments.
All right. I just want to acknowledge the students in the room for coming and speaking up. It takes bravery to speak in front of a board, and appreciate you for taking a huge step to make that happen. So I will follow up and talk with the principal as well and understand more what's happening. Okay? All right. So yes, a few updates for you. I just got back from the AGRIP conference. So I attended the AGRIP governance conference from March 16th to the 19th, which provided valuable insights into effective pool governance and the risk management strategies. The conference was paid for by WSRMP, so no district dollars were used to cover the conference or related travel expenses. What's really important is the conference highlighted the growing impact of artificial intelligence on risk pool and governance, offering actionable approaches to enhance operational efficiency, strategic oversight, and long-term planning. Sessions also emphasize the importance of personal wellness and leadership and decision-making, providing practical strategies to strengthen effectiveness as a director of the Washington School Risk Management Pool, as well as a superintendent. It was really a well-done conference, and I'm so grateful to have had the opportunity to be there. And you got a little bit, Dr. Clifford also was at a conference and got to see a little bit of the AI intelligence today in the study session. UW convening about finance. So as you know, I'm working with a statewide superintendent group to address the ongoing Washington school funding issues and to look short-term at addressing the budget challenges like insurance costs and special education underfunding, as well as our long-term goals of developing a 6-year plan for ample and equitable funding. So since our last board meeting, I've had the convening. It was held on March 10th. We focused on fostering collaboration among superintendents to address the funding equity and legislative impacts on education. The day began with sessions on understanding our levies, property tax incidents, and legislative updates. Key presentations examine the fiscal impacts of current bills and funding policies on districts, the historical context of funding challenges, and a case study of Tennessee's approach to long-term equitable funding. The convening concluded with next steps, reflections, and references to insights from previous sessions to support strategic planning and advocacy. And I just want to note that Washington State is one of the very few states in our entire United States that has a pretty inequitable approach to how we fund our schools. They take a more adult-based approach, a prototypical funding model where they base schools based on the number of adults that are needed in the organization, where most states across the United States focus more on student need, and then they staff based on those needs accordingly. And so that's one of the areas that we're studying as a group. And Tennessee is a great example of just moving towards that model. I'm also excited to announce the launch of a new grant, the Champions in Education Award, presented in partnership with Amy Hong and Barrett Financial. This annual grant includes two $5,000 awards, one for classified non-represented staff member, as well as one for a certificated staff member. The award honors those who have gone above and beyond in supporting students and significantly impacting our schools. Nominees will be evaluated based on their positive impact on students, commitment to equity and inclusion, team collaboration and support, professional growth and initiatives, as well as community engagement and relationships and innovation and creativity. The applications are due March 28th. I'm going to put together a selection committee of staff and community members. We will review them, and then the award will be provided here at the school board meeting on May 22nd, and then a press release the next day thanking Barrett Financial for this great this great award. I also have just been a part of, I facilitated and participated this month in meeting number 2 of our research for Culture Wars Curriculum Battles in Public Schools. This convening focused on combating the anti-education political influence in and through education by brainstorming institutional strategies and developing a coordinated research agenda. I participated in a panel discussion with community organizers, researchers, and practitioners and facilitated conversations to identify the challenges, successes, and the necessary support. Key sessions including brainstorming institutional strategies to counter the anti-DEI policies, curating a research agenda tailored to supporting diverse audiences, and crowdsourcing practitioner resources like toolkits, frameworks, and media. The day concluded with reflecting on the potential impact of our collective efforts and setting intentions for a future research agenda to strengthen the counter movement through education and policy. As in regards to budget, I've completed my visits to staff meetings at the middle school, high school, and Fidalgo Elementary, where I reviewed the budget challenges we are facing and addressed staff questions about the process for identifying staffing reductions and the next steps. Additionally, I have met with principals to review the projected reductions and gather their feedback on the potential impact of those changes, or as well as explore possible alternatives to the recommended reductions. Connie, our HR director, will continue meeting with labor management to discuss these reductions and their implications for staff. I also met with the Superintendent Advisory Council last week and provided an overview of our financial challenges and answered any questions about future reductions. I shared at that meeting that we're doing everything possible to maintain athletics and co-curricular, which was a huge concern brought at that meeting. I just also want you to know the Executive Director of Teaching and Learning and School Support position was recently closed, and we're currently in the screening process. Candidates selected from this pool will be invited to interview by the end of April. The position was previously structured as an assistant superintendent role. However, transitioning it to an executive director position has allowed us to save significant costs. By making this adjustment, we are saving $34,000 while maintaining strong leadership to support teaching, learning, and school initiatives. And I also want to have a huge heartfelt thank you to the Phyllis M. Rotifer Family Trust for their generous donation to support our speech and debate team. Their support makes a huge impact. Thank you for investing in our student success. Check out this inspiring video of today's state send-off as we celebrated our talented team heading off to represent Anacortes High School at the state competition. Oh yeah, and there's Colton.
Yeah, I was like, now we know why he's not here.
We see him.
That's why you can't be here.
Is it not going to work, Nikki?
I shared the picture.
Okay, keep going. Okay. All right, at this point, I'll turn it over to Dr. Clifford.
Okay, I just wanted, just a few updates. On Friday, our students stayed out of school while our staff were learning, and I just wanted to say that each one of our schools did an amazing job, and our staff were really dedicated to the time and spent that time really wisely, really engaging in deep learning. to support their continued professional growth and practice. You got to see a little snippet and picture into that at the study session today with Island Views kind of highlights. So I'm really proud of everybody and the work that they've been doing in the leadership. The principals really have done such a great job working with their leadership teams to really invest in developing staff, all of the staff in their schools. So that was a successful day. Our student device project, we're continuing to do that work, and we are in the final stages. And in early April, we will have our community review. So we'll have something coming out that invites our community to kind of check out the device and give us some feedback and input on how to best support the implementation of that when we move forward. So we're looking forward to getting the information out and giving opportunities for students and community. Students and staff have already been engaged in the process. Island Health, this month we have been working on retooling what our partnership looks like and redefining what our contract looks like. They have, in the past, had our school SIP program, which was the student intervention program with the mental health services. And since we've shifted over to, they're still funding, but through the Northwest ESD providing that provider, we are redesigning what our contract and what our programming and what's possible in our next steps in our evolution of our partnership. So we are maintaining our monthly meetings and starting to redesign what that looks like with an open-ended spot in that contract so that we have room to grow and evolve with the needs of our district and our community to support our students. Dr. Irish mentioned that I was at a conference. It was not paid for by the district, so it was outside funded. And I was able to, it's the National Conference for Superintendents, and I was able to go to the legislative advocacy session. And so I've shared already some information with Dr. Iris about the priorities that are being put in front of the legislators at the federal level to kind of advocate and support for K-12 education. And so we'll be talking about what opportunities we have if we choose to take some action in some of those. And then there were other sessions, some specifically around instructional approaches, and then some on AI. And so you got to see a little picture into that today, so that was really fun. Thanks for letting me take the risk. And then this has been something that's been in the works for a long time, but the last month I wanted to really thank the school principals and our cabinet team and then the board for your study session today on revising and updating our district discipline policy and procedures so that we are getting tightened, more consistently tightened with the RCWs. And this is not us being tightened, but we are responding to the emergency rules that the state has been working on. And I think after reviewing all of the policies and procedures in our local school districts within our region, we will be the one that has the most up-to-date and most tightly aligned policy and procedure to those emergency rules. So thank you for your time studying with that because we want to make sure that we're in the forefront and on top of our work with that.
Thank you. Do you want to show the video, Nikki?
Let's go, Colton.
Thank you. I love the speech and debate team gets a send-off. It's amazing. Thank you for sharing. All right, board comments are next. Board members have comments?
So I just wanted to call out and acknowledge the challenging place that we are with so many things. Our challenges with our budget, our challenges with behavior, our challenges with federal government initiatives. There's a lot happening, and the board, our student reps, our staff, our leadership are really able to insulate the students from what's happening, and that's no small feat. It's a lot. And so I want to say thank you. And I am really looking forward to engaging with our community and our staff in the coming months. And I know that they're going to support us in the same ways so that we can do the job of educating our kids, supporting our kids, giving them the rigorous education that they deserve, and making sure they leave here just really capable, well-balanced, fabulous humans. And it's going to be hard, and you're a great team. So thank you for the work you're doing already, and thank you for the work that's to come. And I'm just going to maintain that I really believe in our community, that they're going to stand up and help us get through these times. So thank you.
Thank you for saying that. I agree. But I wanted to, and it's possible that Zephyrin or Paige will say something about this today, but I had the wonderful opportunity today to spend time in each of our elementary schools, which Paige and Zephyrin were leading the follow-up focus groups with each on our panoramic survey, and getting to spend time with our mostly third, fourth, fifth graders and hear their perspective and actually hear their voices about what's important, and then getting to see that today, that the work that you've been doing with the principals, to hear a principal say, I got to be a principal this year. I got to see the direct correlation between what students are asking for and how we're doing our best in spite of all of the challenges to still meet those goals and serve those students. So proud of that. And I know they're going to present and share, but it was wonderful to get to kind of be a fly on the wall taking notes and hear those students share what this school means to them, the people who work with them, and their friends. So I'm glad we're still doing it. And good job, you guys.
Thank you for being part of that, Diana. It's really important work that the students are doing, and your support of that is really important as well. So thank you. And also just want to plus like 100 to what Meredith expressed as well. Just really appreciate the team and everything that especially the cabinet team is doing despite the budget challenges and despite the cuts that have happened over the past couple of years, and knowing that it's going to continue, especially at the leadership level, and you're all continuing to do the work at a really high level despite the capacity challenges. So appreciate that. And just want to do a shout out as well for Kristen and her support of principals. And we got to hear a little bit about that at the study session today, and shouting out Mr. Hanrahan as well and the work he's doing at Island View is just really important to provide a safe and welcoming and inclusive environment for students at Island View. So just appreciate all of that and appreciated hearing about it today. All right, we are going to move into building reports. So we've got Gabby's going to start with Capsani. Or do you want to start, Paige? Paige is going to start because she has a play to get to. Oh, not the play. Okay.
Wow.
So Paige has a building report about Anacortes High School.
I do. Okay. Before I begin, Dr. Irish came to the students and asked if we could make our building reports a little bit less formal and have more of a conversation with the principals. In doing so, the students got to come up with their own questions. My goal was to focus on keeping the conversations positive and not as serious as they have been in the past, and then also to hear what the principals are really actually excited about and motivated by, rather than just like the outlines of their goals. And so my first question was, what are your biggest goals for this year? And so they said students succeeding in class. And what that meant to them was learning, engaging, belonging, and student-to-student connection. And so my next question was, how have you achieved these goals? And so they said that they gave me examples on how they achieved these goals. And one of the examples was Willow McLaughlin, which is our librarian here at the high school, holds interest groups. And these interest groups are where students genuinely thrive. They meet new people. These interest groups are not like your typical clubs, like I think Queer Book Club is something that Miss McLaughlin does, which is really a club that a lot of our students enjoy and can apply to them, that is not like your typical club. And then lunch games
to become a huge thing at the high school this year that I'm really excited about. And so the principals have tried really hard. I think that lunch games are such a cool idea and something maybe that gets overlooked because of high schoolers being like almost adults. And you're like, no, adults like to have fun too. And so they do bingos on Fridays and then trivia. And Ms. Huggins has started to ask students to make trivia so that, even increases belonging within the fact that, it's student led and then students can work on that together. And then they've also asked students for feedback within that. So what do you want to see? What do you like about lunch? What do you not like about lunch? And then that has really reduced screen time and phone time. And I think that for a lot of students, it's really awkward when your whole group is on their phone and you're like, okay, I guess I'll be on my phone too. But if everybody's participating in something like bingo or trivia, then that's already less screen time. Now you're interacting with your whole group, which is really cool. And then they're going to start doing board game checkouts, which I'm really excited about too. So you can have like a little board game while you're eating your lunch. So that's very cute. And then another thing that they were really excited about was the hate speech training. And so students were talking to their teachers and their staff members about how grateful they are. That was really exciting. And then at the end, they got to do like comments and questions, and they were just saying how like thankful and grateful they were that they now have kind of a common language between everybody, so they really know, how to stand up for students. So that was really cool. And then there will be, I think there was a little bit of confusion. Our hate speech training got through the science classrooms, and they have made a list of students who aren't in science and do have a makeup session planned. So just for clarifying. And then my next question was, how have you shared growth with others, so with your staff or with the community? And their really big thing was last Friday, the PD, and that Dr. Dewey and Ms. Huggins were really excited to share data that they were looking at in that Friday PD. And they're, again, just continuing to think about how to engage students and support more diverse learners. So that was really exciting. And that Dr. Dewey always leads with data so that the staff can really know exactly what they'll be discussing at their meetings, and that this is a continuous conversation throughout the year, not just in August, which I think is really great. And then they also really prefaced that principals can't do this on their own. And so engaging students is a whole school project. And so it's really great that we have PDs like on last Friday, because then we're engaging and encouraging teachers as well to engage their students, which I think is really cool. And then my next question was, what has been your biggest achievement this year, what you're most proud of? And the principals honestly couldn't even answer this question, which made me so upset, because they said that they never get to really think about this, which really makes me concerned, because it shows that we're not celebrating the wins, the big or the little, that we're not giving enough opportunities to kind of share out these things. And so once they had thought about it for a minute, they said that their student belonging data has gone way up, and not just the kids who were like somewhat belonging but like not belonging at all has now gone way up to, I do feel like I belong at school, which is a huge achievement. And then again, the hate speech talk is huge, and it's really giving students voice. And it's really nice to feel like, when other students see something's going on, that I can feel confident that they're going to back me up and support me if I stand up for a student that is experiencing hate speech. And so, yeah, again, that common language. It's really great that now both kids and adults have that common language of, okay, we all know how to stand up for people. We all know how to advocate for students. They're really excited about providing AP Bio next year. I'm super jealous that I will not be able to take that class. And then personal training is going really well. And I was actually able to talk to some students, and they said that you can get certified at the end of that class. So you can go right into personal training, which I think is a really cool opportunity that, not all students, college is the right path. And so being certified as a personal trainer is definitely something that's really cool. And they were also able to go on a field trip to the CrossFit Center. So again, showing students, okay, if college is not the right route, here's a different alternative. And then Math and Society doubled this year, which again is giving more students opportunities to succeed. So that's kind of an alternative math class, which I think is really great because math is really hard. And so that really gives students opportunities that maybe they wouldn't necessarily get. And I also got to talk to a student about that, and that she said that the consistency is really great. They have a routine every single day. They do that exact same thing. They know exactly what the expectations are. And so I think, again, consistency is something that I praise all the time, and routines are really what students need. And then college and the high school is also thriving. And then I asked what their biggest challenge is this year, because I really genuinely think that we need to be acknowledging challenges as well as celebrating. And so obviously it was the budget. And how to best serve students without having them be impacted. And then what's something that you're looking forward to? So it was Friday, the PD was really exciting. And then the musical, so that's happening this week and next week, which we're really excited about. And then Ms. Huggins brought up the point that we do a ton of student versus staff games. So that includes basketball, volleyball, badminton, pickleball we added this year. And that usually at other high schools, they do like one event. And our high school does like all the sports, which I think is really cool. And so, yeah. And then spring sports is really exciting. They were really excited for track, and the extracurriculars are doing really well. And also Sports Med Club got sweatshirts this year, which I thought was really cool. And then June 14th is the first day of summer. So we're really looking forward to that.
Thank you, Paige. That was an amazing building report this evening. So thank you so much. Yeah, appreciate the change in format. It was really nice.
Yes, it was great. But the librarian in me, I love Miss McLaughlin so much, and she does so much. But the Queer Book Club is run by Crystal Blanton, part of our, no, it's fine, Communities in Schools. And I want to shout out both because they're both doing stuff, and that she runs that program. But yes, otherwise, fabulous.
Thank you. Gabby, you have a building report on Cap Sandy. So we get both the high schools tonight.
I do. If you got, while I'm reading, Nikki has some pictures pulled up of a recent field trip that Cap Sandy went on that I will talk more about. But it's really awesome, and Ms. Huggins said I could share that with the meeting. So when I was talking to Ms. Huggins about doing this building report, she had told me, well, you're doing another report for your panorama survey, and you guys have a site visit next month, so I'm not going to give you all of my data and statistics because she wanted to share that. So we decided to just have a conversationally based building report. So I have that. It's really great. So I started out by asking Ms. Huggins if she had a success story that she wanted to share recently. And then she told me about how she had 7 students that weren't attending the high school at all. They either were not able to show up to class for various reasons or were skipping all of their classes. And then when they switched over to Cap Sandy, they had met all their monthly goals and had showed perfect attendance for that whole month that they were already here. And that really shows how students are able to fully bounce back if they're put in an environment that they can thrive in. And then another specific student that was having issues with hearing loss, which was at the high school, and was having a lot of behavioral issues and learning issues because of that hearing loss, and the school wasn't aware of that. So then once that student was able to get one-on-one instructions, and that's what that student needed, he was able to completely thrive. So I thought that was awesome. I asked Ms. Huggins how she was looking at student outcomes, and she mentioned that she has these monthly meetings with students where she pulls random students out, about like 5 to 6, and they talk about what needs to be improved on and what's going well in the classroom. And a specific result that came from that was students wanted a adulting 101 workshop, where they talked about just life skills after high school. And then so now another thing they wanted was to have more interview practice. So now next month they're having a full mock interview day where they have people from different kind of jobs come in, and they kind of go around like a circle and they interview with different people, and they can get different experience of that. So I thought that was really awesome. And then another goal Ms. Huggins has is to improve career readiness with first century skills and a post-secondary plan for each and every student at Cap Sandy. Recently, as you can see up here, they went on this field trip and planted 74 trees, which is just amazing. And then this field trip gave each student community service hours and science credit for their science class, and a team building day with social experiences. So it just seems like a really awesome day. And Miss Huggins is planning one for the high school, but we'll be gone, so we can't go on it, but we can do it alone, maybe. And then I had the opportunity to meet with some Capsani students about a month ago when me and Casey and Diana did our focus groups there. And then the students really shared that they have a great student-to-teacher relationship at that school with high emphasis on Lenny and Mr. McCartney, and that just makes students very much feel like they want to be there. And then the students also shared with us that they felt more productive with the Yonder pouches. And then I asked Ms. Huggins if she had a 5 to 10 year goal plan. And then we kind of talked about that for a minute. And she had mentioned that every year looks a little bit different because Ms. Huggins very strategically follows research and data. And an example of this is about 4 years ago, data and research said that students do better with their cell phones in their classroom. But then new data came out recently that said that students do better without cell phones in their classroom. And then they are doing better with this. So she just mentioned how she will continue to follow data and research with and do what will be the most successful for her students. So, yeah.
Thank you, Gabby. Thank you both for your great building reports, and I love the pictures. It's a good addition. Are there other student comments this evening?
I was just going to share about the experience we had at our retreat, and we met a lot of, me, Zephyr, and Casey. Paige was in Montana doing awesome things. But we got to meet with a lot of other student board members from a lot of different places from around was it the 103 district? 189 district. And we just learned a lot of cool things that we wanted to implement into our work that we're doing here.
Books too. Okay. So yeah, I was also going to bring up the retreat. So we went to a board retreat on March 7th, and it was an all-day event where the three of the board representatives, talked with a bunch of other board representatives from other districts in Whatcom, Skagit, and Snohomish counties. And we brainstormed ways that we can better improve our involvement in representing all schools in a district. And so we have a bunch of ways that we're going to start doing that in the next couple years. And that was really productive, and I'm really excited about it. And I really hope it can continue to be an annual thing like they were talking about. I also want to talk about Paige and I and Diana went on our focus groups today. So we talked to students from Fidalgo, Island View, and Mount Erie. It was my first time at Mount Erie. I was super impressed about following up with the Panorama Data Survey, or Panorama Survey data and student belonging from them. And that was really, really fun and really productive. Also, I want to shout out the Lightning Thief, AHS's musical, or the AHS Drama Department's musical. It's showing today, Friday, and Saturday, and Sunday matinee at 2. And all the other showings start at 7 p.m. and it's doing that this week and the next week. And there are 2 casts. So you got to see both of them.
I know I've already talked a lot, but I also wanted to shout out Lightning Thief and the focus groups. That is truly what keeps me going. And so I know that there has been kind of what Meredith was saying, a lot of negatives, but those focus groups really, you talk to elementary kids and their biggest problems are on the soccer field. And so you really have to put that in perspective. And their biggest celebrations are again on the soccer field. And so you're like, yes, the soccer field. We love the soccer field. So that is always really great and really comforting to know that they're not worrying about our big problems. And then also there's a choir concert on April 2nd and band is on the 31st, March 31st. So yeah, shout out to the arts.
And Fidalgo also has a play tomorrow night, yeah. Tonight and tomorrow night. Thanks to all three of you, and super excited that you get to engage with other area student school board reps, and we also hope it'll be an annual event for you all, because it's really important to be able to network and learn from each other. So thank you so much for your comments and your reports. All right, we are going to move into our finance update. We first have an enrollment report from Mike.
Yeah, the enrollment report, not too exciting. Just kind of heading towards what I kind of expected. I'm still pessimistic on we're down 25 and we're currently down 18. It'll continue to decline because our current enrollment is less than the average, and so therefore it'll continue to decline to the end of the year, even if everybody stayed, right? And I think that the new graphs that I added, recently, kind of you can see that trend of what's happening this year, what's happened typically, and the fact that we are kind of following it through this year. So, any questions on enrollment?
No, just I appreciate the graphs, because it feels like I know that like it's normal that we decline a little bit, but it's just like the graph helps like solidify that this is normal, even though it doesn't feel great that we're declining. But we can see that that's the way it goes,
Yeah.
and that we're performing where we would expect to be performing. So
Yeah. Yep.
Any questions or comments on the enrollment report? Okay.
Okay.
The financial report then.
On the financial, again, even though enrollment's down 6.51, which isn't much, our in-person is that 18, something, and that started to have an impact on us in January. So we're now down. That state line is really our state apportionment, that money we get in from the state. So it is down because they've adjusted it to their actual enrollment FTE type of allocations to us. You can see it's not down a lot though, because it's based on that 6 FTE. And we're, not quite halfway through our allocation for the year. So that's where we sit on that. Still, I'm looking at my grants going, I just got to look at this differently and maybe recalibrate how our grants come in flow-wise, cash-wise, and stuff, so I can better project that flow. Regardless, we still ended the month with a positive fund balance. And I can tell you February has a better positive fund balance. We'll be around $329,000, I believe, at the end of February, because I know that number right now. So we haven't had to borrow any money yet this year. Still iffy in June, but I'll be monitoring that. But we'll see how it goes. It'll be tight.
And remind me, Mike, this time last year we were borrowing money?
This time last year, yes. A fund balance January of 2024 was negative $10,000.
Yeah. So we're better than we were last year.
And we continued borrowing into March.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're doing better than we were last year.
Great. Questions?
Can you please, I've read it and I believe and I understand it, but can you just explain the running start piece of the puzzle in your review paragraph, please? Thank you.
Yes. Okay, so for our for running start, we get a certain dollar amount per student, right? I'll say it's about $10,000, and we get it to keep about 7% of it. And the rest of it heads over to Skagit Valley College to pay, or whatever college they chose to go to pay for the students. So I know, and we pay that by the quarters that they attend. So they've billed us for the first quarter, and we've paid that. The second quarter, I probably have not paid yet. You see what I mean? And the third quarter won't be paid until summer, right? So I've paid about a third. I've received more than a third from the state at this point of my apportionment for those. Therefore, it kind of creates a little better cash flow position for us than in-person enrollment, which I'm paying for all the staff that we have for the in-person enrollment. And I staffed more people than we have students, right?
And so if there were less running start students during the second quarter, your bill would theoretically be lower than your first quarter bill.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but this is kind of more of a cash flow type of
You
thing
have
as
the
well.
money already, right?
Yeah, yeah. So this might create a little bit more of cash flow for us right now because I've received a little money from the state that I haven't had to pay out yet.
But you'll have to pay it. So,
But I will have to pay it.
So it's not.
Yeah.
It's a false sense of cash flow a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not fully, but a little bit. Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right. Thank you,
All right.
Mike.
Thanks.
All right. We have committee updates, and we don't have Jack here, so we won't have a WIAA update, but we will take a legislative update from Meredith.
So it was interesting I sat on a call last week, and as I've been reading through all of the things, I'm always looking at the finance side of it, but clearly there's lots of other things that happen, as we saw today in our policy updates regarding discipline, right? So it was an aha moment for me that I'm like, yeah, there's other things I could be looking at besides money, because the financial side of it sometimes doesn't look so great. However, for the purpose of tonight, there are two things that we still feel like are moving through the legislature, and some of that is some MSOC funds and some of it is special education. It looks positive, but Mike and I had a great conversation, and what happens is it could pass, but it could still not be funded. And so with our governor's directive and trying to save money in the state, and with our state legislators still not having an appropriate funding model for their budget this year, we feel good that there's some things that could come through in special education and MSOC, but it is possible that those things wouldn't be funded, or just not to what would make a great impact. So we'll continue watching that. In the call I was on last week, it sounds like they will have to extend session because they don't have the budget model to fund the budget yet, and so it looks like this legislative session will get extended. And one of the things that I'll send to all of you, which I think is interesting, Lovelet and Rammel are having a town hall on March 26th, and it's a virtual town hall, so easy for us to be there. And whether you have questions about other things or you want to advocate for education, that's just a great way to have our voices heard. So that's at 6:30 on the 26th, and I will send everybody the way to dial into that. Thank you.
Thank you, and would encourage community to also dial into that and ask about school funding. So the board will be there advocating, I'm certain, but it's helpful to have community also join and have a good message about funding. Great. Yeah, I saw that too. And the virtual one is even easier to join.
Right.
So, all right. Thank you, Meredith. So for policy governance, we have the pillar evaluation for partnership, the partnership pillar evaluation from last month. So is there any comments on that from the board?
I move that we approve the pillar evaluation report for partnerships.
Thank you, Meredith. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Diana. All those in favor?
Aye.
Great. And then the pillar report that we have this month is social emotional learning, and I'll ask, see if Dr. Irish wants to say a few things about the
Sure.
social emotional pillar.
Well, what's really exciting is you've had many opportunities today to hear all of the examples of this in action. So our wonderful student board reps have done an incredible job talking about the focus groups, talking about what sense of belonging looks like at the high school and at Cap Santee. You heard Dr. Hannaran today in our study session talk about it in his building and the behavior goals that he has in improving and supporting students' social emotional well-being. So as you can see, it's live and well in every school administrator's SIP plan. It's not just a document, it's not just words on a page, but you can see that our administrators and our staff are implementing it across all sites. There are consistencies and coherence across every building, and yet there's also unique actions that are happening depending on the context of every location. So really proud of the work that our principals and our staff are doing, and our student leaders are doing to support sense of belonging in our organization. And that, again, goes into the student support, student board rep action research. They have, here are the steps and the way they are in the timeline. It's been an honor to work alongside them. I'm working farther behind the scenes than Diana is working with them in regards to the focus groups and the principals. So our next steps are for us to all convene together and unpack the data and start to identify claims and then work with the principals to see how those claims can be integrated into their future school improvement work. So thank you, student board reps, for making that happen and for sharing so much about it tonight. And then beyond that, the pillar report, beyond my evaluation, just gives you continued updates on other areas of focus in regards to social emotional well-being across the organization, because the 2 goals that I have here are not the only things we're working on.
Great. Thank you so much. I just wanted to point out that just a couple of years ago, the schools often had social emotional learning goals in their school improvement plans, and there wasn't a systematic approach to data to collect around that. We saw goals, but not really much data, and so just appreciate, I know it was a board goal for a couple of years to bring in a survey tool and to be able to get more systematic data across the district, and then the way it's being used by the student board reps to go in and do focus groups and dig in, so that we're not just looking at the numbers and the quantitative data, but getting qualitative data too is just really super great. And then the other thing I wanted to name, the 3.1 around systematic plans to support students' positive social emotional behaviors. There was commentary, which we heard about today, about the MTSS work at Island View, but just wanted to also name that we heard quite a bit about the intentional work being done at the middle school when we were at their site visit. Was that last week? The week before? 2 weeks ago? And it's not listed in here, but I think that there was so much great information from the middle school leadership, from Ms. Dunan and Mrs. Frost, around what's being done at the middle school. Really intentional work to address behaviors and be proactive. And so just wanted to name that as well. Other comments about the pillar report or questions?
Yeah, I'll just, even though I've said I get to be involved, which I feel so fortunate to be able to do, I'll echo Paige in saying it keeps me going. But reading through and seeing it all in this report and having that reminder that we didn't have this, and I would always go, what do the students think? What do the students think? And of course, people would know, but now we have a system for it, and we're working on gathering it, and we have students asking it, engaging, and sharing with us. I'm really proud of that work and love seeing what they find out and what the kids say. So thank you for making that happen.
All right. So with that, we can, I'll take a motion to approve the social emotional pillar report.
So moved.
Thank you, Meredith. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Great. All right. We are going to move into new business then. We have a resolution 998, reduction in force for certificated staff, and Connie's going to speak to that.
Just making sure it was on. I'm talking about Resolution 998, reduction in force for our certificated staff. This is something that we have to bring to the board to get approved annually when we start reducing and starting into our budget process, particularly into reductions. Do you have any questions?
Any questions about the resolution 998? All right, I will take a motion to approve resolution 998.
Move we approve resolution 998.
Thank you, Diana. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Meredith. All those in favor?
Aye.
Great. All right, we have several policy updates. Some of them are votes and some of them are first reads. So Nikki's going to pull up a PowerPoint just to sort of use as we go through each one of these, and then once that's up and running, she will go to the microphone and speak to the first one, which is policy update 3210, non-discrimination. And just a reminder, we are cleaning up our policies, bringing them up to compliance with current law. It's one of the board's goals this year to clean up all of our policies and get us up to current. And so Nikki's going to talk about some of these for tonight. So policy 3210, Nikki.
Good evening, board directors. My name is Nicole Tesh, and I'm the assistant to the superintendent and school board. These are the policy updates for March 20th, 2025. This is under new business. I'll be covering items 13B all the way till the end of the policy updates, which I think is H. So I'll be doing half of them, and then Superintendent Dr. Irish will be covering the other updates. So we heard feedback from the community and from the district leadership team that they wanted to not only see the policy update track changes, but they also wanted to see a summary of it. So for policy updates, you will now see a presentation so that it will easily summarize what these updates are and what our policies are for. These are the policies for review on the agenda tonight. 3210 and 3210P, non-discrimination. 3424 and 3424P, opioid-related overdose reversal. 5010, 5010P, non-discrimination and affirmative action. 5011 and 5011P, sexual harassment of district staff prohibited. Policy 5240, evaluation of staff. Policy 6102, 6102P, and 6102F, which is a form, district fundraising activities. And lastly, policies 6114 and 6114P in relation to gifts and donations. So the first policy is 3210, non-discrimination. We also attached the procedures to all of these policies and updated them. You will not be voting on the procedures, just the policies. This one is a vote item. In the lower right-hand corner, you'll see WASDA's designation that it'll either say essential, encouraged, or discretionary. And for the general public, WASDA is the Washington State, I blanked.
School Directors
Thank you. School Directors Association that helps give model policies to school districts, and they deem certain policies in different categories. Essential is essential. Encouraged is they encourage the school districts to do it, but it is at their discretion. And discretionary is some school districts do it and some school districts don't. For this one, this was in parts to some of the executive orders that took place. The purpose of the non-discrimination policy is it puts the district in compliance with the non-discrimination laws. And really most of the changes done to this policy was just clarifying language and aligning it with state law.
Thank you. And so for this one, just a reminder, we vote on the policy. The procedure is just there as an FYI. You said that already, but just a reminder. If there's, I'll take questions, but if there's no questions, I'll take a motion to approve policy update 3210.
I move we approve policy update 3210.
Thank you, Diana. Is there a second?
Second.
Meredith, all those in favor?
Aye.
Great. Policy 3424.
Yep. The next policy is policy 3424 and the corresponding procedure 3424P. Previously, the policy and procedures pretty much covered just the high school. It took out clarifying language that it struck the word high, so it now covers all of our schools. It also clarified language on symptoms for an opioid overdose and different types of medication and training to offer staff, and clarifying language as to where we can receive those medications from our local ESD.
Thank you, Nikki. And this one is just a first read because there was a little bit more language added in. So a little bit time for board members to read it before we approve it. But are there any questions on this one for tonight? All right, so we will see this one on our agenda next month for a vote. And so, Nikki, you can move on to 5010, non-discrimination and affirmative action.
Thank you. The purpose of the non-discrimination and affirmative action, again, this is one that has to do with state law changing and executive orders. So the definition of protected status was defined a little bit differently. So it reorganizes the complaint process in these edits for clarification for employees. A lot of the stuff we already had in our existing policy, it just changed the order of how they wanted to see it. An important revision for this one is it no longer requires an affirmative action plan, but instead a less formal affirmative action program designed to eliminate discrimination based on protected status.
Thank you. I'm noticing on my agenda that I'm not able to click on it, and I think I was able to click on it before.
Yesterday.
Yeah. But I think we can vote on it anyway because I'm assuming that all of us have read it because it was active yesterday or before that, actually, in my case. So are there any questions on policy update 5010?
I move that we approve the policy update on 5010.
Thank you, Meredith. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Diana. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great. All right. And so then the next one is policy update 5011.
Do you want me to keep going or Justin?
I think this last one is you, and then
okay.
Justin will take the next one.
This is policy 5011, sexual harassment of district staff prohibited. The purpose of this policy is it is put in place to ensure that staff are free from sex-based discrimination and harassment. Again, the revisions just align it with state law. It now includes pregnancy, current, potential, and past. And then sexual harassment language also includes quid pro quo, hostile environment harassment, sexual assault, dating violence, domestic violence, and stalking. It's meant to say stalking. I went a little slang there. Sorry, guys. And this policy is deemed essential by WASDA.
Thank you. Any questions on this one, or I'll take a motion to approve it?
Move to approve policy update 5011.
Thank you, Diana. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Meredith. All those in favor?
Aye.
Great. So the next three are first reads, and Dr. Irish, I think, is going to speak to them. So if you want to speak to the evaluation of staff first.
So evaluation of staff, about 3 months ago at a study session, we reviewed what the evaluation process looked like. I connected it to our ELs as well as the WASDA standards, and then I shared with you at that time that our policy was out of date, very much out of date. So this is a complete rewrite, and it brings it up to state law and of all of the requirements that we shared at that study session 3 months ago.
Great. And correct me if I'm wrong, but this was last updated in 2017.
Yes.
Yes. So this one, like you said, was a total overhaul. Are there any questions on this? I know we had the study session, and so it matches what we learned about that. But any questions on this one?
Can you just, I know I should know this, but can you just clarify, this is WASDA language?
Correct.
Thank you.
And it connects with state law.
Great. Okay, so we will vote on this one next month, and it'll be on our agenda again next month. And so then the next one is district fundraising activities, which has a procedure and a form attached, which are just FYIs. But you want to talk about that one, Dr.
And let me just say one more thing about evaluation of staff. It's also the practice that we've been doing for a very long time. So practices won't even change based on this policy. Okay, so district fundraising activities. Actually, I just want to give credit to Jonna and Nate Dunham, who are both teachers in our school system. They came forward to Mike and I and asked us to reconsider the way that we are accepting donations or can fundraise, and that staff can fundraise, and create a little bit more of an opportunity for allowing crowdsourcing. So in that review, we saw that we needed to make updates anyway based on the WASDA model policies, but we added to the WASDA policies and created a crowdsourcing, modeling it after other school districts in the region. So this goes above and beyond WASDA's language, allowing us to legally collect money through crowdsourcing so that teachers can do some other types of ways in which to raise funds, especially during our really challenging times. It gives clear guidance on what they can raise, what they can't raise, how that money is transferred, how it needs to be approved, so that there's consistency across the organization.
Appreciate this because, as we know, financial times are really challenging, and we know there's lots of folks out in our small community and the broader community that are interested in supporting educators and classrooms and kids. So appreciate the creativity here and opening up opportunities for teachers. So this one, because again, it's a little bit more in depth with the different components and to give us time to review not only the policy, but the procedure and form as well. Even though we don't vote on those, we'll look at it at the next board meeting. Are there any questions on this one this evening? All right, so final first read this evening is 6114, gifts or donations.
Sure, so this is to establish guidelines for accepting contributions from individuals and organizations to enhance the instructional program. Board approval is required for gifts of real property and any donated value at $5,000 or more. This actually came up a few months ago with Jenny and I in regards to just making it really transparent in regards to who is donating when and that the board is aware. And this is why this policy is important. It just clarifies that staff or individuals cannot make commitments in exchange for gifts without board approval. The board will not approve gifts that are inappropriate, carry unsuitable conditions, impose future financial obligations, or are disproportionate to the gift's value. And all gifts will become district property and can be used or disposed of at the district's discretion, and that I will establish those guidelines. So that is the revisions to 6114.
Great, and this is another one that's a first read this evening. Are there any questions on this one? All right. Yes.
But I do appreciate that we're being transparent and making sure that's clear and that we're listening to the community and making it a public, well, again, consistent guidelines. So thank you for that so that people know how and what we're doing.
Yep. Same. I appreciate the transparency and it's, if somebody's aware of a large gift and the school board doesn't know about it and they come talk to us about it, that's can create an awkward situation. So appreciate the transparency and ultimately one of our roles is oversight around funding and budget and monetary things. So appreciate that. All right, so we will move in then to the consent agenda. So
May I add one more thing?
Yes, feel free.
So I just want to recognize Nikki for her leadership in making this happen. As you recall, we reached out to WASDA to see if we could hire them to come in and help us clean up our policies and procedures. I'm sure they're very busy and they haven't not been able to get back to us. And then Nikki looked at me and said, I can do this. And I was worried because she's got so much on her plate. But she has rolled up her sleeves and she is digging into this, and she is not only doing it, but she's creating a system that it will be predictable for years to come. And in her leadership in making this happen is above and beyond. And I couldn't ask for a better partner. And so thank you, Nikki.
Thank you, Nikki. Same. And recognizing that the board making this a goal put this additional task on you, and we just appreciate that so much. And I feel personally better knowing that our policies are getting updated and that we're getting into compliance, which is really important. So thank you so much. All right, we have our consent agenda, and I know Dr. Irish already gave a shout out of thanks to the donation for our speech and debate team, but just want to say again how appreciative we are in the financial challenges we find ourselves in, that generous people step forward and support our kids. And so just want to name that. Are there any other questions before we approve the consent agenda?
Question is sort of on, I don't know if we celebrated, is it the mathletes, the math club that went to? They did, and I don't know if we get to see their send off or not, but I just want to shout out to them because that was awesome, and a couple of them also write, and I don't know, they're all so smart, but I'm excited for all of them and grateful we support them all.
Thank you. Good. Yeah.
Instagram.
All right, thank you.
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Thank you, Meredith. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, I'll take Heather on that one. Thank you, Heather.
Split it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. So for our board calendar, we have a visit to Camp Sandy High School coming up very soon, which is exciting. And then our rescheduled site visit to Mount Airy Elementary, we had to reschedule that due to a snow day. So exciting that we get to go there. And so our April's going to be very busy with that. And then a study session and business meeting on the 24th. And then I think our last site visit of the school year on May 8th, which is always a really fun one, to the Northwest Career and Technical Academy. All right, so with that, we are going to move into executive session for the reviewing the performance of a public employee, which is the social emotional pillar report evaluation. So let's go ahead and reconvene at about 7:36. That will give us 5 minutes of transition to get there. And do I need to say an end time? It'll be 30 minutes long. So 7:36, it'll be 8:06 when we end our meeting. And there will be no action taken in the executive session this evening. So.